Messina, a former transit authority chief, tries to put opposition to the Segway in some perspective.
You know, if you go back through history, and one of the things that's fascinating about having this here at the museum is that it is sitting with technology that was invented 100 years ago, 150 years ago. And when those pieces of technology came online, there were all kinds of questions about, well, how do we integrate those into the horse and buggy era? And if you listen to those who were only driven by the horse and buggy thinking, you probably would have said, forget about it. But if you take a minute and you think and you look at the positive aspects and you test it out, I'm not saying that it's perfect. I don't know how it will work, but I would love to see it tried.
Dean Kamen so much wants to see it tried, at least tried. When we return, a look at how he intends to use Segway and another amazing invention to truly change the world. Solving problems on a global scale. Yes, selling his Segway human transporter is a priority right now, but as you will see, his dreams go far beyond that. Rolling thunder in the clouds above the outskirts of London. It is the Typhoon, Europe's latest bid to cash in on the worldwide market for high-tech jet fighters. It was supposed to be the star of the Farnborough Air Show. But the real head-turner at this year's show never got off the ground.
It takes only a few minutes. If you know how to walk, you can use a Segway human transporter. And
we'd have less pollution,
remove human drudgery, get around more quickly, use less.
Dean Kamen and the Segway had arrived in Europe.
Did you see the smiley face now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then round the other way?
No, I think just go forward.
You want to go forward, too? Okay.
For many here, it was like seeing the light bulb light for the first time.
That's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
That's the king of Bahrain, the oil-rich Persian Gulf state.
You don't need to hold on, you can let go if you like.
The head of the South Korean military seemed more bemused than amused.
I'd say probably 20 minutes on here and you'll start to do it automatically then. Yeah.
Good morning. If you want to put
Segway's marketing chief, Gary Bridge, told producer Alan Weissman the company is targeting both the consumer and the military and industrial markets in Europe and Asia, where there are fewer regulatory hurdles than in the U.S.
We're very, very interested in the consumer market in Europe because you have a denser population and you have, as you've seen, bike trails everywhere, sidewalks that connect to bike trails, a tradition of walking, taking bikes on trains, intermodal. So all of the infrastructure is here that we look for.
Is the U.S. military using this vehicle?
We just this week passed our second set of tests with the Joint Special Operations Command. And second set was even better than the first set. So we believe that it's going to end up in active use very, very quickly.
Meanwhile, Dean Kamen cruised through central London looking like a proud peacock.
We'll go about 15 kilometers.
Strutting his stuff before an audience of bewitched locals and tourists.
It has gyroscopes.
Kamen loved those London taxis so much, he bought 2 of them and had them shipped all the way home to the airport in Manchester, New Hampshire, where they are parked next to his personal jet. Pretty heady stuff for a kid from the working-class suburbs of New York. You have your own fleet of helicopters, jet plane, 2 London taxis. Is this the way you keep score?
I work hard so I can work on what I think are important solutions to important problems. And you want to have a lot of money because it gives you the independence and the leverage and the capability to work on important problems. And if you succeed at solving those problems, oh, by the way, you can make lots of money.
The New York Times not long ago ran a front-page story indicating that in Bangladesh, perhaps 1 million people, 1 million people might die in Bangladesh alone this year from contaminated water. Now, I understand that you were deeply affected by that. Tell me about it.
In the emerging world, in the underdeveloped world, a gallon of water is so precious that without it you're going to die. In some places, the average amount of time per day spent looking for water that's safe for their kids by women is 4 hours. And they carry this stuff, which weighs 62 pounds per cubic foot, 4 or 5 miles. And if it didn't turn out to be the right stuff, or they put their hands in it and contaminated it, they spend the next day or two burying their babies.
How does this fit into your work? What's your vision?
In a long, complicated way, we started out trying to make a better energy source for our iBot, the device to help the disabled population get around, knowing that batteries aren't going to be capable of carrying enough energy to do what, for instance, fossil fuels can do. We decided a Stirling engine could do it. I've been a student of Stirling engines from the point of view of physics for many, many years. If you take a closed system of gas and you keep one end of it hot and the other end cold, when you spin this, it will continue to run. And as long
This is a miniature model of a Stirling engine. It's named after its designer, Robert Stirling, a 19th century Scottish minister. Basically, this non-polluting device plays heat against cold to create energy. In this case, the heat comes from Kamen's hand, and the cold from an ice cube placed on the device. The actual Stirling is a closed box with 2 chambers, one filled with gas. When the gas chamber is heated from the outside with anything from burning wood chips to charcoal, the gas expands, creating pressure. That pressure drives a piston from the hot chamber into the cool chamber. In Kamen's design, that mechanical power achieves 2 goals. It creates electrical power, some 300 continuous watts, and as a bonus, creates enough heat to distill contaminated water, making it perfectly drinkable.
it could be placed in one of the hundreds of thousands of villages in India alone. It could be used to make a central place where people go to charge the batteries for computers or cell phones, where people could get access to electricity so that they could have light at night. And all the while, it could be turning 10 gallons of just about anything into potable water.
Anything? Like water from the polluted Merrimack River near his plant?
Boy, it's pretty heavy, that thing.
Yes, it is. So I'm going to put it on a Segway.
We went with him to find out with a demonstration of his prototype system. Back at his plant, Kamen dumped the water into a vat for this demonstration already filled with seawater and green dye. The water was then pumped through the system.
This is water that, when we measure it with mass spectroscopy and any other methods, is about as close to perfectly distilled water as we can get. Now,
Well, it certainly tastes clean, but you can't always tell clean.
that is distilled water. You put the system together, you make electricity, and you make water.
Kamen then displayed a graphic design of what the portable Stirling will look like,
In something about this size.
Correct.
and a plastic mock-up of how his engineers hope to pull it all together.
The engine hopefully will power a piece of equipment about this size, which will purify the water. And the Stirling engine might very well, you could use the overage, if you will, that it takes to purify the water, to run a few electrical appliances, computer, a few light bulbs.
And charge up your Segway, human transporter.
And the transporter, the Segway, could also be powered by a Stirling engine,
Correct.
which could burn anything they had handy.
Correct.
I draw a deep breath and I say to myself, is this guy putting me on, or is this a realistic dream?
You've been on the Segway, human transporter. You've seen the electricity come out of the Stirling engine. You drank the water that came out of the river,
I hope I don't double over the rest of the day.
as do I. On the one hand, I cannot represent to you that this is done or that it's even doable with no risk. I cannot make that representation. But most of the invention that's required to go from the idea to reality, I believe we've mastered, and we can do this.